Okay, hi guys and welcome to the show, and I thought before I start today's episode I'd share with you my strap choice for my new little pullover, the Spacey or the Space View. I know you guys think I put everything on a NATO, but I just didn't have any straps with the 18mm lug width. The only strap I had of that size was this lizard grain, which I like to wear on my Mooney. This is the little Oris big crown complication there, but I really think it's a little bit too smart for the Spacey. I love the casual style of this pearl-on strap. This is, of course, is from Wrist Candy Watch Club, and I think it works really well. It's a really dark chocolatey brown. Guys, let me know if you think it works or not. I'm fairly chuffed with it. I think it works. Anyway, guys, enough of my obsession with the new Spacey. Let's the Kevin Spacey. Let's roll the intro and get into today's show. Guys, and welcome to today's show. Today we're going to be doing top 10 watches under $5,000. Now, if you remember last week we did top 10 under $500, and we did it slightly differently because it was a response to a poll held in the UGWC, which of course is the channel's official Facebook group. There's a link in the description. There's about we're approaching 13,000 members in there. A fantastic place to get your response and your input. The great thing is about this price range is the sheer amount of iconic watches. I mean, there was a lot of great watches under $500, but pretty much every single watch nominated in this poll is either an icon, a horological icon, or an icon in the making. So guys, bear in mind this is completely based on your results. A lot of people in the comments to the last video, well, what about this one? What about, well, you have to vote, you know. But the fantastic thing is that you guys, you're the sharpest audience out there, definitely the most knowledgeable, and it's fantastic to get that feedback. It's one thing for me to put it in my personal opinion countdown, but it's another thing to I voted as well, don't get me wrong, but also to get your feedback. I think it's fantastic. Anyway, without further ado, I've got to do wristwatch check. I almost forgot. It'd be blasphemous for this channel if I forgot wristwatch check. And it is indeed the trusty Squale 1521. It's a watch that always puts a smile on my face. That's what it's all about. I mean, we can get into understanding the movements and the history, all the rest of it, but at the end of the day, it's got to be about personal enjoyment, and this watch just does it for me. I mean, just makes me smile, and that's what it's all about, right? So, wristwatch check done. Let's get into the poll. Now, what I'll do is I'll count down the top 20, and then I will go into more detail on the top 10. So at 20, we had the Rolex Explorer 2 Polar. At 19, the Tudor Prince Day Date, personal favorite, fantastic. At 18, the Cartier Tank. At 17, Panerai. Nobody actually specified which Panerai, but Panerai's in there. 16, the Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean, fantastic. At 15, the Omega Aqua Terra. Quite surprising. I didn't expect that one to rate so highly. I mean, bear in mind there was like 50 nominations. 14, the IWC Portuguese Chronograph, of course. And guys, we've reviewed a lot of these, so if you want to see the reviews, have a look back in the archives. At 13, the Grand Seiko GMT, very, very cool choice indeed. At 12, the Tudor Pelagos. And just missing the top 10, one of my personal favorites at 11 was the Breitling Navitimer. I'm kind of annoyed that it didn't get in the top 10 because it predates the Submariner, it predates the Speedmaster. Yeah, it is an acquired taste, and that kind of proves it. And guys, if you want to check out the results for yourself, go into the group, type in poll and $5,000 into the search, and this will come up. Of course, voting has closed. I'm not gonna, if you vote now, I'm not gonna take it. I mean, actually, this is pretty solid, the results. Okay, so now we get to the top 10. So I'm very surprised this pushed the Navitimer out, and it is, of course, the Zenith El Primero tricolor chronograph. And you guys know I reviewed the Zenith not too long ago. Fantastic brand with incredible history, famous for that El Primero movement. So I'm kind of glad it did get in there, because it is an important part of horology. The El Primero movement, of course, is one of the first automatic chronographs, and they're pretty much famous for that. One of the key characteristics of this movement is that high beat. It operates at 36,000 vibrations an hour, of course. The movement was used by Rolex in some of their Daytonas later on, but it really is the crowning achievement in Zenith, and it is, of course, all in-house. I love the Zenith chronographs. My particular favorite is the moon phase that I reviewed. When it comes to chronographs, you guys know I like the Navitimer and the Speedmaster, but you can pick up some fantastic Zeniths on the used market for under $5,000. So I'm really happy it got in there. Very much the brand for the connoisseur, for somebody that, you know, when you see somebody wearing a Zenith, you know, it's not your go-to brand of, you know, it's less obvious than a Navitimer, it's less obvious than a Daytona. So you got to give them a little bit of respect, and I kind of like that. So moving on, number 9, it's the Tag Heuer Monaco. It's famous for being square, of course, instantly recognizable. It was released in 1969. The first automatic micro-winding chronograph in a square case to be water resistant. But really what propelled it into the mainstream zeitgeist was, of course, being worn famously by Steve McQueen in, I think it was Le Mans. I've never actually seen the film. I've been to Le Mans, but I've never seen the film, and that was in 1971. Popular culture appeal still persists to this day. You only have to look at Breaking Bad, if you guys are familiar with that show. One appeared famously in Breaking Bad. It's still very much an icon. We could do a whole video on the history and just sheer amount of versions of the Tag Heuer Monaco. Still that beautiful blue dial, of course, and those two the compact sub-dials, the two white sub-dials. It's just instantly recognized. I mean, this shape just says it all, right? It's fantastic. And of course, with that connotation with Steve McQueen, it will be forever immortalized in racing history. It just has to be, right? So, but very much an acquired taste. The original was with the caliber 11. Then I think they got replaced later on with Valjus, modified Valjus. I forget the calibers, but like I said, you know, if you look at my notes here, there's just so many versions of them, all the way up to the present day. There was even a digital one in the 70s. I kind of like it, I must admit. Now they've got the caliber 12, 100 meters water resistant, sapphire glass, of course, fully automatic. Did I say the Zenith was automatic? Do I need to say the Zenith? Do I have to say the Zenith El Primero is automatic? But you cannot doubt the coolness of the Monaco. Very, very cool indeed. So that's at number 9. What is number 8? Well, it is, of course, the Grand Seiko, the Snowflake. The reference is SBGA011. I actually reviewed this. I'll put a link up there somewhere. There'll be a pop-out thing. Have a look at the link. And in this video, I explained that behind its incredible spring drive technology but in the movement, it really is a leap in horological history. It's incredibly accurate. It's a whole new way of doing things. First conceived in 1977 by Yoshikazu Akahane. I apologize, my Japanese is non-existent. And that was in 1977. So almost 50 years of development, and then finally presented at Baselworld in 1998. These things are amazing, deadly silent, which is a little bit disturbing, but you get that smooth, iconic sweep, and that snowflake dial, inspired by nature. This is a typical Japanese theme you'll see in their artwork. nature's always the biggest theme, and that snowflake texture on the dial is inspired by the snowfall outside of the famous Grand Seiko studios where it was developed in Japan. A beautiful touch. And this of course came out in 2010. This has the 9R65 movement. We're talking plus or minus 15 a month, thereabouts, you know, so incredibly accurate. And the finishing, we have this katana blade quality of finishing to it. It's just, it really is a true luxury watch. We have the power reserve complication, that beautiful blued second hand. The quality of the production is phenomenal. Guys, if you haven't seen that review, trust me, check it out. I explain the technology, how spring drive works, all the rest of it, so check out that video. It is an icon. It's an icon. Maybe one of the newest icons in the top 10. I'm so glad it's in there because it is very important, horologically speaking, definitely. So that was at number 8. Number 7. What is number 7? An old favorite, and I own this watch. This is of course the Tudor Heritage Black Bay. You guys didn't really specify any particular model, but we'll talk about the whole entire range. And that's the first thing off the bat we have to mention is the variety. We got the beautiful burgundy with the gilt dial, detail on the gilded hands and all the rest of it. We have the blue one, a little bit more contemporary. We have, now there's the Black Bay Dark. There's of course the 36mm one without the bezel. I almost bought that last month. I had to stop myself. I went for the little vintage pink Submariner. So the Black Bay, well now of course they've got the new in-house ones. I personally prefer the ETA. I feel that having the rose, being British of course, having the rose on the dial and that curved text just does it for me. I'm not that fussed about the in-house, all of the rest of it. Of course the ETA version has the 2824-2 in there, perfectly fine, rock solid, really reliable move. Actually I think it's the same as in here. They obviously have a higher grade version of it. You're getting that knowledge and experience and quality from the Rolex family, so to speak, in technology. 200 meters water resistant, of course. It really is a home run for Tudor. I absolutely adore them. Stylistically, they're an amalgamation of the original Rolex Submariner from 1954, the reference 7923 with the big crown and the lack of crown guards, and it's kind of mixed in with the Snowflake of 1968, of course, referring to the hands. So it's a beautiful amalgamation of the two. It's a 41mm case, that beautiful domed sapphire, of course. I think the size is spot on for contemporary. I, of course, would love it to be a smidgen smaller. Although it wore very, very comfortably. I almost went for the 36, but the only thing I find a bit bizarre about the 36 is the lack of bezel, a diver with the lack of bezel. And we should also mention there's no date. But guys, I've reviewed this watch. I've jeweled it against the Submariner. It's a fantastic, fantastic watch. If you're considering your first luxury dive watch, I think the Tudor Black Bay is certainly in the top 3 at least. I do like the ETA one better, but of course, guys, if you want to go in-house, go in-house. I mean, it's fantastic. I think the ETA will probably go up in value as well. Come in a variety of leather straps, bracelets, very, very versatile, fun watch. And in my opinion, the more bashed up it gets, the better. It really is. You know, it is a tool watch at the end of the day. So what was that? That was number 7. Number 6. What have we got at number 6? A very classy watch, and it is of course the JLC Reverso. Now, JLC are an incredible brand. I am going to be adding a JLC to my collection, but not a Reverso. Unfortunately I tried a Reverso on and it just didn't suit my skinny wrist. You think it'd be my go-to watch for a dress watch, being a massive Art Deco fan. You know, you guys know I collect Art Deco antiques. I have a selection of Van Essen and Betty Joel bits and bobs here and there, and clocks as well. So I love the 1930s stylistically, and that's when it was born. I think it was 1931, invented originally for polo players, of course, with the face of the watch, or the case, the head of the watch is reversible. So instead of taking it off, the head just reverses, and then you'd have traditionally just a steel face on the other side. Now they've utilized, you know, they've got ones with two faces on it with GMTs, amazing complications. But what appeals to me, apart from its beautiful Art Deco aesthetic, is the heritage you get with JLC. They have developed over 1,200 of their own calibers by themselves. It started all the way back in 1833. Their highlights, I mean, you know, the duo plan, the geophysique, the ground complications, the Memovox. We can't forget the Atmos clock, which between you and me is the JLC I'm going for. Yeah, I know it's not a watch, but I've always lusted after one, and I've got to have one. Anyway, but it's great because I can add a JLC, but at the same time, it's not something I'm going to wear, obviously, but something I can enjoy every day. So that's my plan, but you know, keep that hush hush. Anyway, back to the list. It's extremely elegant, and what I love about it is you're getting that kind of colonial throwback landed gentry feel of it, that sophistication, that pedigree. You know, it developed for polo players in India, of course, during the time of the Maharaja and the Empire and all the rest of it. It just makes me want to pick up a Kipling book and get on a Cunard cruise to the Indian Ocean. You know, do you know what I mean? It has that sophistication of that age. It really does. I mean, it has to be in there. And also another really cool fact about the Reverso, it's made in the golden ratio. If you guys remember that video about the Barman Mercier watch, we kind of mentioned it in there. We're referring to its dimensions. Nature has already set the blueprints for a classic. What number was that? That was number 6. So I'm really glad it got there. Okay, moving on. Number 5, the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Explorer. Of course, I mean, this is a great watch. I hope to buy one next year myself. Just so iconic, immortalized by Ian Fleming, and of course, its original purpose, worn by Sir Edmund Hillary on that great expedition on Everest. This was, of course, in 1954, developed specifically for that reason. You know, we see that incredible legibility of the dial, its simplicity, its robustness. Very much a tool watch, but of course, like so many tool watches from Rolex, it's become a luxury icon. My pick would have to be the 14270 with the 3130 automatic movement inside. Great caliber, rock solid, very reliable. Everything you want from a Rolex, really. That beautiful dial with the iconic 3, 9 and 6 layout and the triangle at the top. It's understated, discreet, but yet, you know, unmistakably Rolex. It's just so cool. I mean, what else do you want, you know? Now, of course, they've got a little bit larger, 100 meters water resistant. We got that oyster case, of course. The dial is left symmetrical without the date, adding to its reliability because it's, you know, without that extra complications, of course. I love it. I absolutely love it, and I'm going to get one. So what number was that? I'm losing count. So that was number 5. Number 4. Now this is funny. I really expected this to be at number 1, considering you guys actually nominated this in a previous poll, the most iconic watch of all time. And it beat the Submariner in that poll as well, which I really expected to win. But at number 4, it is, of course, the Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon. First issued with that famous 321 caliber movement, then later on replaced with the 861. Of course, guys, I've done a whole video on this watch. Have a look up there. I'll add a little... what are they called? Cards, so you can have a look back for more details. It wasn't built to go to the moon, but of course NASA chose it because it passed all the tests. And then of course famously Buzz Aldrin wore it in 1969, the first watch to make it to the moon. I mean, immortalized till the end of time, and probably the biggest achievement, well, definitely the biggest achievement Omega have ever done. True icon, you know, with the Hesselite crystal, of course, 42 millimeters. So too big for me. I actually owned one, manual wind, obviously. Incredibly versatile. Put it on an ATO, put it on a leather strap. You can dress it up, dress it down. That clean aesthetic is just so instantly recognizable. First introduced in 1957, originally intended as a racing watch, of course, with that iconic tetrameter. For a sports watch, it has a timeless elegance. It really does. Probably the best way for you to own a true classic, a true icon. I'm so glad the Speedmaster got there. I'm a bit surprised it didn't even get further up, but you guys voted. This is your poll. So there we are. So what was that? That was number 4. So what is at number 3? An old favorite, an old favorite. It is, of course, number 3. The Rolex Oyster Perpetual Datejust. The Datejust, I mean, of all the Rolexes, it's the one I've owned the most of. It's a bit odd that I don't own one today. I'm always fighting myself not to buy one back. Incredible value for the money, and there's so many versions. Originally released in 1945, which is staggering. I mean, one of the oldest icons out of the lot, certainly. It's an incredibly versatile watch, and me and Federico both agree. I've been saying it for years. It's the most versatile watch. If you had to own one luxury watch, you didn't want to have a collection, this would probably be it, because you got that 100-meter water resistance with the Oyster case. It has that sporting DNA, yet it has an elegance. You can dress it up, wear it for dinner, but yet still go in a pool with it, and it will be fine. It has that screw-down crown and that Oyster case. So it's tough, it's robust, infinitely versatile in the different versions. Smooth bezel, fluted bezel, bracelet options on a leather band, the dials, I mean, a million different dials and colors, and then of course you've got two-tone, steel, white gold, all the rest of it, you know. So very, very versatile indeed. My favorite is the ones with the 31-35 movement in it. I just love that movement. Very reliable, very solid. Of course, they're chronometer certified, fully automatic. I mean, actually, having said that, I owned a quartz one as well, a two-tone quartz. Actually, it was my first one, and I bought it for it was so affordable because nobody wanted the quartz, and this was quite a few years ago, before I had a channel. Now, of course, it's highly in demand because they're not that, you can't really find that many of them. So it's funny how it goes. But its crowning achievement was that it was the first chronometer wristwatch to have an automatically changing date. That has permanently placed it forever in the horological history books. So very, very cool indeed. I prefer the 36mm. Of course, now they've updated them with the bigger sizes. But that just only widens its appeal and has made the older versions a better steal on the used market. And you can get them well under $5,000. So I'm really glad that the Datejust has got there. And I'm not surprised it's in the top 3. What was it? 3, wasn't it? So, number 2, what is number 2? Well, of course, it's the Rolex Submariner. I really thought it'd get to number 1, but at least it's in the top 3. This, of course, is the no-date Rolex Submariner. And my pick of the bunch at this price range, definitely the 14060. We got the Oyster case, Oyster bracelet, of course. It's a 300-meter diver. That beautiful symmetrical layout, because we don't have the date window, even more understated than the date version. It's a real tool watch and an icon. I mean, look, guys, I'm not gonna bang on about the Submariner because you guys already know. Inside we have the caliber 3130. Again, rock solid, amazing, automatic, COSC certified, exactly what you want in the tool watch. You got that rugged Rolex reliability. It's a watch you're not going to lose any money on, and an absolute steal on the used market. It's 40mm, it's the pre-ceramic, so wears smaller than the newer ceramic version. Stainless steel, of course. I mean, it's obviously stainless steel. We have the unidirectional bezel. In this particular version, you get the sapphire glass. So that's at number 2. I mean, I'm not going to go into too much detail about the Submariner because it's been talked to death, and you know, I mean, I'm surprised it didn't get to number 1. But what is at number 1? And that kind of begs the question, what is at number 1? And it's no surprise what is at number 1. And it was my first luxury watch as well. And it is the Omega Seamaster, the Bond 300. For many people, it was their first luxury watch. And actually, if I was to recommend the first luxury watch to myself, if I traveled back in time, I wouldn't change a thing. I had the 36mm, the mid-size version, like Prince William, of course. It's nice and thin. You know, Bond wore it with a tuxedo. Yes, I know it's a faux pas with a diver watch, but it does have that dressy appeal, that beautiful wave pattern on the dial, that completely unnecessary helium escape valve, but it kind of adds to its charm. Great clasp and bracelet, considering at the time its great rival at number 2 was the Submariner, which had an appalling clasp. Until it got updated, of course. So 300-meter diver, more than capable with that beautiful scalloped bezel. Some people don't like those kind of skeletonized hands. I love them. I find them very, very endearing. Now, you know, it's been updated with the ceramic version, with the ceramic bezel, of course, and that beautiful blue. I mean, they've really got the new blue spot on, and of course the newer coaxial movements, and you can get those under $5,000 as well. I've owned 7 Seamasters in my time, the chronograph as well. I've owned the GMT, I've owned the mid-size, I've owned the Bond, I've owned the pre-coaxial and the coaxial. The original Seamasters came out way back in 1948, so it's a watch that has incredible legacy and pedigree to them. You know, it's really is a heritage line of watches for Omega, and it's no surprise it's at number 1. And you can get, the price is going up, but you can get them at a really good price, and you do get that luxury feel and quality. I remember like yesterday when I first got mine, I really felt an achievement. I think I was 21, and I think that's a really good age to get your first luxury watch. It wasn't so too high end that, you know, you start to get cocky, but at the same time it's a nice jump up from quality from your Seiko SKX, which is what I had before. And if you really want to keep the costs down, you can get the quartz ones, which have the added advantage of being quartz as well. So that, you know, it's incredibly robust, more so than an automatic will ever be, as well as being more accurate. It really is a beautiful marriage of kind of dressiness and a tool watch. Very few watches can pull that off. My pick of the bunch for the Omega Seamasters, the pre-coaxial, would probably have to be the reference 25318000. This of course had the caliber 1120, which is based on the ETA 2892, COSC certified. It's the COSC grade version of the ETA. We're talking about $3,000 on the used market. But if you want to go coaxial, of course, you get the ceramic coaxial version. Great thing is they haven't changed the size. It's a 41mm size, and they do have the 36mm mid-size version, so it appeals to a greater diversity of wrist sizes, which I think is absolutely great. And you get a lot of bang for your buck for that money, certainly. And I think the newer coaxial Seamasters, the clasp, the bracelets, the finishing, the colors, just spot on. In my opinion, they perfected everything. They really did. Absolutely outstanding. And I can certainly see why it was at number 1. I'm constantly thinking of going back to an Omega Seamaster just to get that nostalgic first luxury watch feeling back again from when I was 21. So very special for me as well. So anyway, that was at number 1. A fantastic dichotomy and variation, real nice dynamic range of variety there. We got some understated classics, we got dress watches, we got some Japanese horological history in the making, we got Rolex, we got Omega, we got everything. Some modern classics like the Tudor Black Bay. Kind of a little sorry that the Cartier Tank didn't get in there, and the Navitimer. You guys voted from about 13,000 members in there, so thank you very much for everybody to take part in this, and please don't forget to nominate your future polls, and if I get enough requests, I will certainly do a video. Any ideas for future polls, I do appreciate it down in the comments. Please don't forget to share your top 10. I'd love to hear your top 10 in the comments as well. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and found it useful, and as always guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, ciao.